Welcome to Audit Archive, where we run you through some of the most questionable and rather atrocious police encounters. Today, we're looking at several cases of police misconduct, including an incident where a 46-year-old man was subjected to an outrageous amount of abuse by officers and medical staffs, violating his rights, mocking his disability, forcibly injecting him with drugs, and restraining him in a torturous manner. On August 27, 2019, in Los Angeles, California, the local police department reportedly received a call for the wellness check of a 46-year-old by the name of Slade Douglas. However, the welfare check was based on malicious and false suicide allegations against Mr. Douglas by the Veterans Affairs on the Veterans Crisis Line. Shortly after the call, officers Jeremy Wheeler and Jeffrey Yabana arrived at the man's residential apartment. How the encounter would go, though, was far from pleasant.
Talk to you for a minute? So, I'm just gonna make sure nobody else is.
No, please, no. Hold on, I asked you no.
The officer immediately, without permission, tried to search the man's apartment. It's important to note that it is required by the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution that police officers either have a search warrant or subsequent permission to search a piece of property. Considering that this officer just learned about the incident, one can assume that they did not have a warrant to do this. This meant that the officers were about to violate the man's fourth constitutional right, which states, "The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrants shall issue, but upon probable cause, supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized." Thankfully, the officer heeded Mr. Douglas's requests and stopped searching.
Alright, just
I'm
relax.
not asking you to leave, because this is my house.
Okay.
Number one, you just can't walk around.
Let me ask you just a couple questions. Okay. The veterans people, they were concerned, okay, regarding a couple things. One was that you were threatening to commit suicide.
That's not true.
Okay. So what I'm here for is just to make sure you're not going to do something like that. You understand? So if you need our help, that's what I'm here for. So we're not here to mess with you, bother you, or anything.
Well, you do understand if you just walk in my place and you just automatically start walking around, and I know y'all wear body cams as well. That's so unfortunate too. If you just come in my place like that and you just start walking around, you have to have my permission to do that, so I don't appreciate that. You can't violate my rights because you got a call me, okay? So you're not helping me if you just come in and you automatically start violating.
So it goes more for like officers.
No, it's not officer safety because I didn't even have to let you in.
Right.
So, don't say right, because it's about my safety because you're in my domain, and if you're here to help me, you can't say, well, my safety is, because I have no weapons. Obviously,
We don't know that.
You do know that because I'm asking you to leave. Please leave. I'm asking you to leave.
After feeling threatened, Mr. Douglas asked the officers he invited to now leave. This was a request the officers had to follow since if a person gives the police permission to enter and they do not have a search warrant, one can ask them to leave at any time they change their mind. Moreover, the Police Misconduct Provision Law makes it unlawful for state or local law enforcement officers to engage in a pattern or practice of conduct that deprives persons of rights protected by the Constitution or laws of the United States. Unfortunately, rather than follow this law, the officers began to retaliate. By asking the officers to leave, he was exercising his legal right to withdraw consent. However, the officers chose to ignore this fundamental right. Instead of leaving peacefully, they escalated the situation, which was a clear violation of both legal and ethical standards. Note that retaliatory actions by police can include intimidation, harassment, and even physical force, all of which are expressly prohibited under federal law.
I know, I'm asking you to leave.
You don't feel like
Please
hurting
leave.
yourself?
I'm asking you to leave my residence.
Well, if you answer this question.
I'm asking you to leave my residence.
I'm about to put you in handcuffs, sir.
If
All right.
you do that, that's your choice.
Okay, turn around. Put your hands
Why would you put me in handcuffs?
Turn around, put your hands behind your back.
What have I done?
You're going to listen to what I said. You're going to put down the phone. You're calling 911, and I'm standing right here.
But what have I done?
Put down the damn phone.
Why are you
Turn
cursing
around
at
and put
me?
your hands
Why
behind
are
your
you
back.
using
Put
profanity
your
at
hands
me?
behind your back.
Why are you using...
Because you know what? You're calling 911. We're standing right in front of
But
you.
I'm
Does that
asking
make
you to
sense?
leave my residency.
I'm not leaving your place now. Turn around. Put
You
your hands
said you
behind
came
your
here to
back.
help
I'm not
me.
doing that now. Put your hands behind your back.
Out of nowhere, the officers began detaining the victim for simply trying to call other law enforcement officers. On top of that, one of the officers even took away Mr. Douglas's phone without his consent. Even though police are allowed to ask you to unlock your phone and hand it over, a person has the right to decline this request. Without a warrant, the police cannot take your phone without your permission unless you are arrested. However, considering that this was a false arrest, the officer would be violating the man's first constitutional right, which states, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble, and to petition the government for redress of grievances." Unfortunately, the officers weren't done abusing their power just yet. The attempt to prevent him from contacting other law enforcement officers can be seen as an effort to suppress his ability to seek assistance and redress, further compounding the abuse.
You're calling 911 right in front of us.
Because I asked you to leave my residence.
We can't leave.
You know
We
this.
determined.
You know this. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
No, I
If
do
you
not.
were law
I have
enforcement, then
rights.
you would understand.
Okay. And this is why African Americans have issues with law
Don't start
enforcement.
that. Don't start that. That's a bunch of
I asked
nonsense.
you to leave, and you used profanity at someone?
That's okay. I could use that.
Oh,
if
really?
I
For
want,
someone
yes.
who you concerned about
Yes.
doing something to themselves?
Hey, you know what? When you're not listening to commands, what did you do?
That wasn't a command.
All right.
A command for me to ask you to leave my residency?
You got
Don't command us to do
I
it.
can ask you to leave if you're not supposed. Why are you here? You were here to help me, and
We are here because somebody wanted us to check
And
on
I told you I was fine. And then you started exacerbating my condition.
You need-
Why are you putting your hand up like for me not to speak? You can't help a person if you don't want to listen to what they're saying. If I ask you to leave because you're exacerbating my disability, which clearly you're aware I'm a person with a disability because you already observed, number one, you see a sign right here. Just saying that. Number two,
How do I know what that is?
Yeah. What is that?
oh, well, how do you
How do you know I don't have one?
You could, but guess what? If you had one and you came in my residency and I
So
came,
you're
hold on
the
one second.
victim here, right? You're the victim here, right?
Well, you guys are victimizing me, and now I'm in cuffs.
Well, you're in cuffs now because of the way you're acting.
Why? I asked
Who
you
else
not
is
to
here?
touch my place.
Don't-
Why are you grabbing me? I'm not doing anything.
Relax.
I'm in cuffs.
Relax.
But I asked you not to look
Relax.
around my place.
Refusing to provide him with a valid explanation for his arrest, the officer proceeded to search the man's apartment without his permission, violating the victim's fourth constitutional right once more. On top of that, the officers failed to recognize and even mocked the victim for his disability. The Americans with Disabilities Act prohibits discrimination on the basis of disability in all state and local government programs, services, and activities, regardless of whether they receive DOJ financial assistance. It also protects people who are discriminated against because of their association with a person with a disability. These laws prohibit discriminatory treatment, including misconduct on the basis of a disability in virtually all law enforcement services and activities. These activities include, among others, interrogating witnesses, providing emergency services, enforcing laws, addressing citizen complaints, and arresting and holding suspects. Despite this act, the officers continue to ignore and fail to address the victim's disability.
Okay, that's a violation.
You know what? You can call up whoever you talk to and tell them, explain to
Sir,
them
would you please
why
not
we're here.
step on my rug, please? That's a very expensive rug.
Who says I want to step on your rug?
You man, why are you acting like
These your
this?
shoes?
See, yes, they are.
Okay, good. You can put them on. You have ID with you?
I do, but I need to get it. I can't get it.
Where's your ID?
Would you please remove your hands off of me?
No, I will not.
I'm not resisting.
No, I will not. No, I will not. And I recommend you don't resist. So put your shoes on.
Why would I resist so y'all can
Good.
put my That's what y'all want to do anyhow.
What's your problem?
You?
You know what? We came here because you called for help.
I didn't
for
call
help.
you. I didn't call you.
Who'd you call?
I did not call
Who
you.
did you call?
I didn't call you.
Who do you think they're gonna call?
I don't know. Obviously, I wouldn't want them to call you all.
Well, they did.
Okay.
Okay.
Well.
And now you're in our custody because you're under a mental evaluation.
That's funny.
If that were the case, then the police could only take him into their care and control urgently if he appeared to be mentally ill and they had a reasonable belief that he had recently attempted or was likely to attempt suicide, or attempted to seriously hurt himself or someone else. Considering that witness testimony is almost never reliable, making the call by Veterans Affairs invalid, the officers had no real reason or basis to suspect Mr. Douglas of being suicidal. Moreover, the police or other authorized people are supposed to look at behavior, appearance, and other information in deciding whether to take someone into custody for referral to a mental health service, but the police and PSOs cannot make a medical assessment. Instead of detaining the victim based on those properties, however, they detained him after having their pride hurt by Mr. Douglas when he tried to call other officers over them.
Okay. I'm glad, and the body cams are working too.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
Where's your ID?
Do you want your ID?
I can't get it because then I'm not going to allow you to go through my things.
Okay, so you don't own any weapons.
I already showed you that I had no weapons.
I don't know
told
that.
you
I don't know that.
Okay, you don't know anything.
Because I could go looking for anywhere that you might have a weapon if you're going on a 5150 hold.
I shouldn't be on a 5150 hold.
Why don't you?
That's an abuse of authority to put someone on a 5150 hold who has shown no
Are
signs
these
of
your
harming
keys?
themselves.
Are these your keys to your apartment, sir?
They are.
Okay. And I don't believe you are law enforcement the way you're acting.
I can't believe you're a law enforcement either. But you are.
Yeah.
Which we see it all too often in terms of how law enforcement act.
Act toward you.
Hey, could you go let Aaron know that I'm being unlawfully detained?
Don't worry about
Could you
it.
do that for me? Aaron. The leasing, the manager here. Could you let him know? Could you let him know? Aaron.
Yeah, you can make
Go
your
tell
phone.
Donna for me. Will you go tell Donna for me?
Right here.
John, go tell Aaron that I'm being unlawfully detained. Aaron. Yes, for no reason. For no reason whatsoever.
You called us, sir.
I did not call you.
You called us.
Oh, I called you, so you.
Yeah.
Why are you using the arm bar on me? I'm turning around. What are you? Oh, I gotta face this way now?
Yes, you do.
Why is that?
Look at where you're acting.
What you mean, how am I acting? I hope this is gonna be worth it to you. I hope it's gonna be worth it. I really do.
I got a job to do, sir.
Yeah, not the way you're doing it.
No, it's not for you to say.
It is for me to say I'm a citizen. You're supposed to protect and serve me.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Unfortunately, when it comes to black people, you all never do.
I don't disagree with that. Don't pull me.
What you mean don't pull you? I'm walking. I'm walking. What you mean don't pull you?
You think I'm
How
here
much you
just,
weigh?
you think I'm just here for the fun of it?
Yeah, apparently you decided to escalate the matter, so yes.
Do you think I'm
Yes,
here for the fun of
I
it?
do. Yes, I do. You escalated the matter. You escalated the matter.
You will be sitting down in this car, okay?
Why would not I sit down in the
Good,
car?
thank you, sir. No, sir. Do you see this here? Do you see this here? You spoke to Alicia. Alicia called us.
I don't know
You were speaking to her from the VA.
anyone named Alicia. That has nothing to do with your action.
Okay.
Now you have called.
Following his arrest, Mr. Douglas was placed in a police vehicle and handcuffed for nearly an hour. Although he kept making requests for reasonable accommodation, the officers refused him over and over again, despite knowing that the victim had a disability. According to Ed Flossie, a retired police sergeant from San Jose, California, agencies and trainers must train their officers how to search and handcuff while making reasonable accommodations to persons with physical disabilities. This training should be done to at least the awareness level where the topic is discussed openly with the trainees and reasonable options are explored. Finally, after going as far as needing to yell at him, Mr. Douglas was able to get the officer to heed his request.
Okay, give me 1 second. I will not put him in the front.
You need to move him because this is exacerbating.
I will fix him though. I will fix him.
Could you do it really soon?
Yes.
I'm asking for a reasonable accommodation.
I told you that's what I'm gonna do, so be
Okay, well, I
quiet.
need it soon because my disability is being exacerbated.
Hey, you won't let me get a word in edgewise. Get up. Get out.
You can speak to me in a different tone as well. You don't need to scream. And don't say that I am, because you claim you're supposed to be helping me. It's the right.
These cuffs are just
it's
fine.
The right. And it's not that it's loose, it's the positioning of my arm.
What are you talking about?
I have a, okay, you're aware that I'm a disabled veteran, right?
Are you sure? Yeah, well,
okay,
that's what
I
you're saying.
have cervical
You see, there's plenty of room there.
No, it's not about the room, it's the positioning of my arm.
Well, how do you want your arms?
I need this cuff to be removed so from the front.
You know what? The cuffs wouldn't be on you if you weren't acting the way you are.
Whatever. Acting by exercising my constitutional
Okay, have a
rights.
seat.
I
just checked your cuffs. Get in.
It's not the cuffs, it's the positioning of my arms. I requested the
That's
accommodation.
how the LAPD does our handcuffs.
You can also
Have a
make
seat.
so that's the purpose of asking for a reasonable accommodation.
And that was the reasonable
No, the
accommodation.
reasonable accommodation is to reposition my arm because it's exacerbating my
Reposition
condition.
it how?
I need it in the front because it's exacerbating.
That's not how we do. That's not how we do our handcuffs.
Well, the thing about asking for a reasonable accommodation is a policy exception.
No, we don't have a policy exception
Yes,
for
you
that.
do. Everyone
No.
complies by
You can have a separate.
Doing basically nothing to help the man, the officer sat back in his seat and continued to talk to dispatch. After around 30 minutes of the victim and the officers arguing with each other, the officers finally called EMTs for the victim upon his request. After arriving on the scene and talking with the victim, they came to a conclusion. It goes without saying that their apparent lack of urgency and unwillingness to provide timely assistance to a person in distress is deeply troubling. Police officers have a duty to serve and protect the public, and their actions in this case appear to fall far short of that obligation. Moreover, the officer's behavior suggests a disturbing disregard for the well-being of Mr. Douglas. Engaging in a lengthy argument with the victim instead of promptly seeking medical help demonstrates poor judgment and a failure to prioritize the safety and welfare of the person they are sworn to serve. On top of that, the delay in calling for EMTs also raises questions about the officer's training and protocols for handling medical emergencies. It's very crucial that law enforcement personnel are equipped with the knowledge and skills necessary to recognize and respond appropriately to situations where individuals require urgent medical attention.
There's nothing medically.
So here's the deal. How much time do you have on?
20.
I have 34. So the smartest thing's going to be put him on a gurney, handcuff him to the rails, take him to the hospital, tell the doctor that he's complaining that he's got previous back injuries and he fell in comfortable position. He need to clear him. That way it takes all the liability off of you guys, takes it off the city. I think it'll be that'll be the best thing to do.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
We got.
So we're on the same
What
page.
information does he have?
So all I need is his name, birthday, address he's got if he's homeless. But we'll basically do that. So,
Okay.
So where do you guys want to go? Do you want to go to County, USC, or do you want to go to Good Sam?
Let's go to Good Sam. How's that sound?
All right. Then we'll just let him be seen there.
Yeah, there we go. Then he gets to see
Because
seen by the doctor.
I can't see. I just think that'll make the most sense.
Yeah. Yeah, he's being seen by the doctor. Come on out. We're gonna get you to the hospital and we'll have the doctor evaluate you there.
So what we're going to do is we're going to put that in the chair. Wait till they'll unhandcuff you and put one hand on each rail so you'll be in a more comfortable position. Okay? And then we'll take you.
John, did you let Aaron know?
Hey, have a seat here for me.
To the hospital, and you have a doctor sit there and clear you, make sure you're all right. All right?
Here, if you can lead forward for me. Here, actually, here, stand up here for a second.
Did you stop putting your hands on me?
I know, I have to.
I'm
I have
gonna
to
get
make
up
sure you
myself
don't-
though.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm just gonna make sure.
I'm asking you
stand
to
up.
remove your hand. You
No,
hurt
I'm
my
not.
arm.
Stand up,
Okay,
please.
see, I just requested again. Hey John, come here for a second. So basically, they got a call from a VA crisis line that I was in the address.
Okay, sit back. Sit back.
I let them in my residency. The first thing they do when they come in, oh, we got a call for this or that. And I say, and then I tell them, that's not true.
Yeah, we'll just have them evaluated there by the physician.
They didn't want to leave. I called 911. They detained me. They saying I'm on a 5150 hold. They saying I'm on a 5150 hold. So if I'm on a 5150 hold, then for calling 911.
Don't be telling everybody
I
that.
can tell people what the hell I want.
You're going for an evaluation.
Okay, that way, this guy
Yeah.
gets taken care of. He wants medical help, he gets medical help, and
Yeah.
it's just, hey,
Yeah, and then they can just tell the doctor.
responsibility. Simple as that.
Exactly. No, thank you.
No, you're not. You're not trying to help. I'm not answering it. And according to you, I'm on a mental evaluation anyhow. So people who are
I'm not mentally evaluated. I'm just want to
No,
know.
he just said that. So people on mental evaluations, they don't know how to answer
What
questions.
I want to know is, are you more comfortable in that position right now than you were before?
Of course I would be.
Okay, that's what I want.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm asking.
Okay,
Now,
you didn't.
After arriving at the hospital, however, according to Mr. Douglas, officers told the nurse, Ricky, they needed to find something in Douglas's system to justify his arrest. Ricky agreed to do this and then injected Douglas without his consent. Hospital records show that Mr. Douglas was forcibly injected multiple times while still double cuffed to a gurney. Then, while unconscious from the drugging, he was placed in leather restraints, spread eagle by his arms and ankles in what was described as a torture chamber apparatus. He was subjected to invasive procedures during which his genitals were both touched and grasped, a foreign object forcibly inserted into his penis, and he was threatened with the administration of additional drugs by injection with the intent of extracting information. This reported abuse persisted for over 8 hours. All of this, with the events that transpired prior, prove that the victim was subjected to 1. Assault with a deadly weapon, 2. Sexual battery, 3. Assault, 4. Battery, 5. False imprisonment. The actions of the officers and medical staff are also alleged to have violated federal statutes concerning conspiracies against rights, abuses under color of law, and federally protected activities. Consequently, Mr. Douglas was represented by nationally renowned civil rights attorney Peter Carr, founder of PLC Law Group, along with prominent civil rights lawyers Lauren McRae and Nashawn Neal for a trial later on. As of the date of this recording, however, no further updates have been made. Next, on January 6, 2020, in Washington County, Utah, a police department received a call from an apparent hotel patron by the name of Brent Bryam, who said that he was drunk and got locked out of his room with no way in, resulting in him calling the police for help. Soon enough, officers Jared Carlson and Eric DeMille arrived on the scene and conversed with the caller, who was waiting for them outside the hotel.
How are you, sir? Did you call us?
I just come out and smoke a cigarette and
Let's go over there.
I left my key out in my room. Come down here and there's nobody in the lobby and nothing. I've been knocking on the door for a half hour or so. I walked up and down the stairs screaming hello. Nobody will answer, nobody's answered. It's just really weird.
So what do you want me to do for you?
Well, I was kind of curious if you check it out. I mean, I can't get nobody in the lobby. There's nobody in the place at all.
You have a room here?
Yeah. I got up and went out and go smoke a cigarette.
And can you get into your room?
My key is in my room.
Okay, so I would just wait in the lobby. If they want to leave, they can leave. There's nothing, I don't know what you want me to do for you.
But there's supposed to be somebody here, right?
I don't know.
To be in the lobby.
The one I haven't been in here yet, but the one my place I have been in, it had a phone number at the desk that you call the phone number, and they usually have somebody that lives on site or that is fairly close that can respond.
But there's nobody here.
Is there a phone number?
Let's go to the front desk. What was your name, sir?
Brett Brown.
Do you have your ID on you?
It's in my room.
Okay. Where's the phone in the lounge? Hi, hey, can you come to the front desk, please? This is my space, or my place, or whatever it's called. Yeah, can you come to the front desk? This is the Hurricane Police Department. There's a resident guest here who's locked out of his room. If you could just come here and help him. please come to the front desk? Just call the Hurricane Police Department, the dispatch center. If you, like, seriously, there's a guy here that's locked out of his room. Are you at the hotel? Look out the north parking lot. There's 2 police cars in the parking lot. He called us. He didn't see the sign over there. Ma'am, can you just dial 911 then? Yeah, I'm calling from the lobby. I'm looking at the sign right there on the lobby. Because the door's open. It's open, ma'am, and I don't appreciate you swearing at me. Then how am I calling you? Well, in the north parking lot, there's 2 police cars. I promise you. There's a guest that's locked out of a room. You own the hotel?
There's a sign right here.
Okay, if you could come down, please, you'd appreciate it. I don't know, ma'am, but I'd really like to leave, so if you could come down here. I don't. What room are you in, sir?
I'm in 111.
He's in 111. What's your name?
Brett Brandon.
His name is Brett Bream.
After picking up the phone and calling up the 2 landlords of the hotel, Miss Danielle Blackmore and her husband, the officer explained the situation to them and told them to come down to the lobby. However, Miss Blackmore didn't take too kindly to who the officer was letting in and refused to comply. This prompted the officer to end the call.
She's like cussing me out, saying it's full of crap. She's not going to come down. She's not going to call the police department. I would stay somewhere else.
I'm tired of all you guys, I really am. But it just seemed really weird that I sit here pounded on this freaking door. And then I walk up and down the stairs screaming and asking, hello, is anybody here? Nobody answered.
How'd you get in?
I was sitting here hitting on the door, and I just kicked it and kicked the bottom part, and it slid open just like that.
You don't have a phone on you?
No.
How'd you call us?
I saw the bottom phone after I kicked the door and it opened. And so I went walking up and down the stairs, asked if there's anybody here. And nobody answered, so I come down and look at it.
What the officer failed to pick up on, though, was the crime Mr. Bryan committed. Since the man stated that he had to kick the doors open to get in the lobby, that meant they must have been locked. This would make Mr. Bryan liable for criminal mischief when a person intentionally destroys someone else's property or when they disrupt a public utility. Such a crime can be prosecuted as a misdemeanor or felony. In Utah, it is considered a Class B misdemeanor if the act doesn't take place in a building or dwelling. However, if it does, then it is considered a Class A misdemeanor. Furthermore, a Class A misdemeanor is punishable by up to 1 year imprisonment and a fine of up to $1,000, whereas a Class B misdemeanor is punishable by up to 6 months in jail and a fine of up to $1,000. After a while, the officer asked whether or not Mr. Bryan wanted to talk to the landlady's husband instead, to which he replied yes.
I don't have a key again. I locked myself out. We're trying to tell you. Yeah, because I kicked the door and it opened. No damage.
During the call, Miss Blackmore arrived at the scene, demanding that they leave the premises. She was allowed to do this since a hotel or motel can force a guest to leave if the hotel or motel guest does not pay for the room or breaks the hotel or motel rules. This shows that Mr. Blackmore was justified in trying to remove Mr. Bryam, something the officers would later fail to let her do. Furthermore, how the officers handled this situation was outrageous to say the least.
I want him gone. Right now. If he can get into that door, he can get into that door.
Ma'am, it was blocked.
It was not, and you kicked my door open. He kicked the door open. It was locked. I want him out. Go away.
Hold on. No, get your
He kicked my door open.
Let's go talk over there.
Yeah,
I'm not
okay,
gonna.
but he opened that door.
Okay, stop.
He opened that door.
Shut up. Go over there. Let's go over there.
Get rid of him.
No.
No, he opened that door. That door was open with a plant. Open. If he can get in there, then
After stating that Mr. Bryam had in fact broken hotel property and effectively trespassed into the hotel, Miss Blackmore wanted both him and the officers off her property. The landlady was allowed to remove even the officers since a person has the right to tell police officers to leave the property if 1. The property owner believes the presence of law enforcement is unnecessary or unwarranted. 2. Do not have the owner's permission to be there. 3. There is no legal justification for the police presence on the property. 4. When the property owner feels their rights are being violated or their safety is at risk. 5. The property owner believes the presence of law enforcement is unnecessary or unwarranted. 6. The property owner wishes to assert their right to privacy and control over their own premises. As a matter of fact, the officers weren't allowed to be in the hotel while it was closed to begin with, since, except in certain rare circumstances, unless they see evidence of illegal activity, police cannot enter your home or private property without your consent or warrant. As such, the officers were supposed to leave as soon as Miss Blackmore told them to. Unfortunately, rather than comply, one of the officers escalated the situation.
he can get in his room. And he kicked my front door open that was locked. I have procedures.
Hold on. Stop.
Can you not touch me?
Just stop.
Don't touch
Stop.
me! Don't touch me! Don't touch me! No! Stop! Don't touch me!
Right now, you're under arrest, okay?
Why? For what? Why am I under arrest? Why am I under arrest? Stop it! You guys are assholes! I hate cops! Why am I under arrest? I didn't do anything wrong! It's my hotel! Stop it! Stop it, please! I'm asking you, please, to stop! Stop! It's my hotel!
I'm telling you to stop right now.
Okay.
I told you to stop. I told you not to approach him. I stopped you from going up to him because I was concerned that you were going to confront him. No.
After effectively breaking into her property, the officers pushed Miss Blackmore's neck back into a wall and detained her. With this action, the officer had violated his department's use of force policy, which states, "Officers shall use only that amount of force that is objectively reasonable under the totality of the circumstances known to the officer at the time the force is used. Force may appear necessary at the time the force is used, given the facts and circumstances perceived by the officer at the time of the event to accomplish a legitimate law enforcement purpose." Furthermore, via an unlawful arrest and trespassing onto hotel property, despite being told to leave, the officer had violated the landlady's fourth constitutional right, which, as we've already discussed, protects against unreasonable searches and seizures. By entering Miss Blackmore's property without a warrant or probable cause, and by using excessive force to detain her, the officer blatantly violated this right. Bear in mind that the protection against unreasonable searches and seizures extends to private property, including hotels and businesses. So, without proper justification, the officer was not permitted to trespass or remain on the premises after being told to leave by the property owner.
Please stop. I'm reasonable. Please don't do this. I'm the only one at the hotel. Please don't. He broke my door open. Please let me have my phone. Please don't do this. Please. Why? I'm the only one here. It's my husband's car. Why are you arresting me? Why are you arresting me? Can you Why are you arresting me? I haven't done anything wrong. It's my hotel. He broke the door open, you guys. Can you see that? You guys, it's my hotel.
Get in.
Are you serious? No! Why?
Get in.
Why? I didn't do anything wrong to him. Please let me call my husband. I'm the only one from the hotel. Why? Why are you arresting me?
It's important to note that according to the U.S. Department of Justice, when a law enforcement officer uses excessive force or engages in other prohibited conduct, other officers on the scene have a duty to stop such action. However, considering that the other officer present witnessed his partner unlawfully arresting the woman, his failure to intervene meant that he had violated this policy. After placing her in their vehicle, the officer started walking around the lobby area without the landlady's permission. On top of that, they were going to now try and break Mr. Bryan into a hotel room via a window.
I couldn't have to go. I think my window's open over there. Can I crawl through the window?
Yeah.
Control 4
Yeah, I
Kilo,
think it's
you're on
might be.
ADL Blackmore for 29.
10 bucks. Is she going to be a 45-year Canadian female, possibly on a virgin? Copy.
What was it?
See, your door's open. The door wasn't open when
You left your window open?
I think I did. I don't know if I did or not.
Well, if you can figure out which window you're in, is your room, you can go and try to get in it. Huh?
And the window is open. So,
Yeah, go ahead. Just don't break it.
After technically helping the man break back into his apartment despite the landowner saying he wasn't allowed to, the officers had effectively committed the crime of criminal trespassing, a Class B misdemeanor, punishable by up to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine. Despite tormenting her enough already, the officers went back to her to take the moral high ground.
Hey, knock it off. You're acting like a child.
You want to put this?
They have to call front desk. I locked the door. That's the rules.
That's fine.
The problem's not with that. The problem is you not listening to us and being so damn drunk that you're acting stupid. Okay? That's the problem. That's why you're in a cop car right now. You're not going back to bed. I can call somebody.
After taking Miss Blackmore to the Purgatory Correctional Facility, the officers conducted a strip search of her in front of multiple male officers. However, police generally need a reasonable suspicion that you are concealing a weapon or contraband in the area the officer wishes to search. So if an officer reasonably believes that you may be hiding drugs, weapons, or any other illegal objects under your clothes, the officer may be able to order you to undergo a strip search. This means that there must be specific facts or circumstances that justify a strip search. Considering what transpired in the incident, the officers had no probable cause or reason to believe that Miss Blackmore was hiding anything under her clothes that needed to be searched. This meant that the officers were simply violating her rights once more. This is further proved when looking at Washington County's policy, which states, deputies will only conduct an intrusive body search of a juvenile under extreme exigent circumstances. Unsurprisingly, Miss Blackmore and her husband sued Hurricane City for the incident. She even stated that there was a female guard that was standing nearby, but they were all watching as I had to strip down my clothes. The male guards just sat there and watched, and that was just so humiliating. To have all those men watching me strip off my clothes was so humiliating. No further updates have been made to this case as of the date of this recording. Next up, on August 18, 2017, in Columbus, Mississippi, Officer Keith Dowd pulled over a 20-year-old black man by the name of Joshua Hibbler for speeding on a small road. Things quickly took a turn for the worse when Officer Dowd made contact with Mr. Hibbler.
You have your driver license, proof of insurance. Where are you going to in such a major hurry?
I'm just trying to get home to my dog, that's all. It wasn't nothing major, just trying to get home to my dog. My mom just called.
Well, you're more than twice the speed limit.
I paid like 45 or something like that.
Try again.
For real?
Yeah?
I was that fast?
Yeah?
So I'm not going to lie to you, I wasn't even looking at the speed.
Well, that's a problem then, because especially on such a small road, there's no reason for you to be driving that fast.
Yeah, I do understand.
Where are you coming from?
Dollar General, right here, Atlanta too. I just kept back to the back way, right there in my Fairview.
And where are you going?
To right off Lindbergh, that's where I live. Right off Lindbergh, right here.
Well, there's a lot of things off Lindbergh. Try to be a little more specific.
Off Brooks, you know Brooks Drive it?
Yeah?
Yeah,
That's where you live?
Yep.
What's the address? How come it doesn't match your driver's license?
That's my old address.
Okay, you only have 1 week to get your license changed if you change addresses too.
I do?
Yeah. It's not when you go to renew it. You got to pay to have it renewed. You got to have your current address on your driver's license.
I ain't know that right there neither, but that right there can get changed easily.
Well, I know.
Yeah, I recently, just started getting this way.
That sounds like a whole lot of malarkey, man.
Huh?
I said it sounds like a whole lot of malarkey.
How come?
Huh?
I said, how come?
Well, speeding through a little side street
You're just trying to get home to my dog. My mom.
where it'd just be that much faster just driving on Alabama. You ever been ticketed or arrested?
No. It's my,
For neither.
I'm from, it's my first. Ticket, no.
Ever. Anywhere in the continental United States.
The only thing the spirit was rolled up. It wasn't nothing.
290 dispatch. Mississippi DL. Who's that?
It's my girlfriend. It's her car.
She lets you drive her car. Does she know you're driving like an idiot?
No, she don't know how to drive fast.
Huh?
She don't know how to drive fast, no. But she know how to
She doesn't know you drive her car?
Yeah, she know how to drive, but she don't know.
She doesn't know you're driving like an idiot, though.
Yeah, I drive. It was just, like I said, it was one time.
What do you do for a living?
Go to school. I played LCC, school, last year. I started back school in January. Going to the state.
So you don't work and she's giving you like a $30,000 card just to turn around in?
No, sir. I work at Food Giant, though.
Well, I asked you where you work. You said I went to school.
I say what I do for a living. I go to school, but yeah, I work at Food Giant on the weekend.
All right.
Phone number's gonna be
Fried
4057.
chicken.
Huh?
Fried chicken.
4057.
It's a living. Could be worse. You could be the police. So look at me. See how you're talking.
An electric pole.
Ooh.
You know, to hold the wires up.
See, one other day we're gonna have a discussion. Because I also know you smoke things you ain't supposed to be smoking.
Yeah. Is that? I thought that's what I said. What did I say?
Yes, sir. Let me introduce myself. I'm Officer Dowd. I actually came from the Jackson Police Department. I'm a DUI drug interdiction expert. Okay, I'm considered an expert in city, county, state, and federal court. Pretty much, if I tell a judge this is what I honestly and truly believe, pretty much you're guilty. Because I'm that good. I also spent about 20 years as a New York City paramedic. So there's nothing that you're going to teach me or try to put over on me. So especially when people lie to me like I don't know what I'm talking about, I find it really insulting, because then I'll just go ahead and actually
registered nurse. I ain't got
I don't care if your mom's a registered nurse.
I don't have anything to lie to you about, sir.
I can tell you smoke weed.
I smoke black and mild.
I know you smoke weed. You still do. And I can tell by the coloration on your tongue. And you're gonna go home and stare at your tongue and try to figure out how I know that it ain't black and mild. Please.
The officer stated that he was capable of determining that Mr. Hibbler was smoking weed just by looking at the color of his tongue, despite him proclaiming that he had only smoked a cigar. Although law enforcement is told to look for a possible green coating in one specialized training program that's taught all over the world, police have not pointed to any scientific studies that show marijuana causes someone's tongue to turn green. Moreover, even assuming that the officer was correct, the absence of any other indicators of recent marijuana usage, combined with the many innocuous ways to get a green tongue, indicates a lack of reasonable suspicion. The officer's justification for suspecting Mr. Hibbler of marijuana use based solely on the color of his tongue is insufficient and raises concerns about the potential for unjustified profiling. There are numerous innocent explanations for a green tongue, such as consuming certain foods, drinks, or candies, which the officer failed to consider. Relying on a single ambiguous physical characteristic to establish probable cause sets a dangerous precedent that can lead to violations of citizens' rights. It's important to bear in mind that law enforcement officers have a duty to base their actions on solid, verifiable evidence and to consider the totality of the circumstances before making a judgment call. The absence of additional indicators of drug use, such as bloodshot eyes, slurred speech, or the odor of marijuana, further undermines the officer's reasoning. Making assumptions based on unsubstantiated claims or incomplete information is totally out of hand.
If you want to lie to me, I'll turn around and I'll call a detective out here. We'll scrape your tongue and then I'll charge you with possession of marijuana by driver.
I'm listening to you.
Well, don't lie to me again. Because then you're just telling me like I'm stupid. I don't know what I'm talking about. Like I don't know the difference between a black and mild and weed. Or do you want to stick with that story? Because the next thing I do, because I already got your information, I'll call the school and have them drug test you off the team. So you want to play that game?
No, sir. I'm sorry about that. You're right. I'm sorry about that.
Because I know where you go to school now. I know who has a car. Actually, I could just take the car, impound it, let your girlfriend come get it.
In actuality, police are not allowed to impound one's vehicle simply because the vehicle was involved in a routine traffic stop. Another example of when the police cannot generally impound a vehicle is if the vehicle has been illegally parked for a short period of time. In fact, there are only 3 situations where police can impound a vehicle. 1, if the car was involved in a crime. If the car was involved in a crime, police can justify their impounding it. The reason behind this is that it would be unsafe to leave the car unattended on the road. If no one else is available or able to move the car safely from the location, then officers may impound the car in order to remove the potential safety hazard. 2, evidence of a crime. The car itself could potentially be evidence of a crime. Many states allow police to impound a car if it is involved in a case of reckless driving, vehicular manslaughter, or if the car has been used to assault someone. 3, public safety. If a car is parked in an unsafe area, abandoned, or poses some other threat to public safety, police may justify having the car towed and impounded. Considering that none of the 3 conditions were applicable in this scenario, the officer was not allowed to impound the vehicle.
And then I'll just call the dean over at the college, have him say, yeah, don't do the piss test, draw his blood.
I already graduated from that.
Huh?
I said I already graduated from
So you don't, so that was a lie too.
No, I graduated from college. You asked me what did I do.
You said you're a student and you play football.
I said I used to play for you.
No.
I said I used to.
You said you were a student. When I asked you about the gas station, you said, well, you asked me what I do. Keep your hands up on the wheel. You said you go to school and you play football. That's the nice thing about wearing body cameras. Everything you say, plus I have a really good memory.
After gaslighting and manipulating the victim into believing what he was saying was right, the officer threatened to escalate the situation further than was necessary. Note that his use of gaslighting and manipulation tactics is a clear abuse of power and a violation of the trust placed in law enforcement by the public. Gaslighting involves the psychological manipulation of a person, causing them to question their own thoughts, memories, and perceptions. By employing these tactics, the officer is attempting to assert control over the victim and undermine their ability to think critically and make informed decisions. Without question, such behavior is unacceptable and goes against the very principles that law enforcement officers are sworn to uphold. Instead of seeking the truth and protecting the rights of citizens, the officer is actively engaging in psychological warfare to coerce the victim into compliance. This behavior continues ahead.
Do you want to try this nonsense one more time, or do you want to see how ugly I can be? Because right now, instead of writing you a ticket, I can just take you to jail and impound the car. I don't have to. Writing a ticket is a courtesy, so we don't fill the jail full of stop sign runners and speeders. It's actually an arrest, an affidavit, and a field release. So I can actually just go ahead. And how do you think your girlfriend's going to be if I impound the vehicle? So you actually don't go to school anymore. You're not playing football.
I graduated. This is what I said. This
But
what I thought I said.
Listen, I ask real simple questions.
Yes, sir.
Put your hand back up on the wheel. I ask real simple questions. I expect real simple answers. It's either a yes, sir, or a no, sir. That's how easy I make it, unless I actually want you to clarify something.
Yes, sir.
Are you still currently in college?
No, sir.
Do you play football for any of the colleges locally?
Not anymore.
I don't want the reasoning. It's either a yes, sir,
No, sir.
or a no, sir.
The officer began limiting the driver's ability to speak by restricting him to only using 2 phrases. This was a clear violation of the driver's first constitutional right, which states, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances." Since no one, not even the law, is allowed to impede a person's free speech, the officer was undoubtedly committing a crime against the driver.
So then you lied to me when you said you were a student. So say yes, sir. Because you tried to convince me you were still a student because when you said how you just fry chicken on the weekends. So is that the only job you have is frying chicken on the weekends? You don't work at all during the week? Now take your hand down off the steering wheel.
No, sir. No, sir.
Listen to me.
Well, I'm about
Listen to me. I don't play this Columbus stuff. I'm used to Jackson. So when you start acting all squirrely and you start dropping your hands, I don't play that.
Yes, sir.
You understand me?
I'm sorry. This like I said, this is my first time being inside this situation. Just, I swear, like my record clean. I'm a good person. All day. My first time.
No, you're not a good person. You smoke weed and you're running through city streets twice the dang speed limit. Is there any weed in the car? No, wait. Look at me. Because just by the look you gave, listen to me. Because K9 unit's already on its way.
06 Bojair, this en route.
You understand that?
290, you okay?
Now, 290, I'm 10-4. Now, we can either improve our relationship, and you can be honest if there is, or when that dog gets here, I take everything. I take the car, I take you, and everything else. So I want you to think long and hard.
The officer prolonging the traffic stop to wait for K9 retrievers was something he wasn't allowed to do. This was because the U.S. Supreme Court had ruled that police are not allowed to prolong traffic stops in order to wait for a drug-sniffing dog. The court ruled that prolonging the traffic stop without there being reasonable suspicion that another offense had been committed was an example of unreasonable search and seizure. This meant that the officer was violating yet another right of the driver. Once again, the 4th constitutional right, because by extending the traffic stop beyond its original purpose solely to bring in a drug-sniffing dog, without reasonable suspicion of another crime, the officer was conducting an unreasonable seizure of the driver. The Supreme Court's decision established that police cannot turn routine traffic stops into drug investigations by prolonging the stop after its initial purpose has been resolved, absent reasonable suspicion. Doing so violates the driver's 4th Amendment rights against unreasonable detainment and unlawful expansion of the scope of the stop. The officer needed independent justification, like visible evidence or suspicious behavior, to extend the stop and bring in the drug dogs. Absent that, he was constitutionally required to let the driver go once the original traffic infraction had been addressed.
No, sir.
Huh?
No, sir. Is it a reason?
Do not drop your hands.
I'm not. Is it a reason for this?
Because you're not being honest with me.
I am, sir. I meant to tell you, like.
Do not put your hands back on the steering wheel.
Sir, trying to have a bad day. I'm not trying to be a bad person to you, sir.
89.
My first time being in a situation. I meant to tell you, I used to play football.
Okay.
Last chance, you MCC in school.
But then say, yes, officer, I do smoke weed.
After multiple manipulation tactics, Officer Dowd finally showed his true intentions and forced the driver to state that he smoked weed. However, in a court of law, the driver's admission of guilt would actually be considered a coerced confession, an involuntary confession that comes from overbearing police conduct rather than a suspect's free will. It is considered involuntary because the confession is not a product of the accused's free choice. Moreover, such an act is considered a violation of the Fifth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, which states, "No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime, unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia, when in actual service in time of war or public danger, nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb, nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation." Despite how brutal Officer Dowd had been, nothing would compare to what he was about to do next.
So before the dog gets here, is there anything, wait, listen to me, listen to the question, because if you're trying to answer me, you're not listening to me. Is there anything else in this car I would want to know about? Think long and hard, because I already have probable cause to take you out of the car for speeding and all the other offenses. Plus, once the dog gets here, more than likely he'll smell it off of you. Now, we'll discuss it man to man, but if he turns around and he finds something, I'll bet, put your hand back on the steering wheel. I want you to be honest.
I'm 14.
I don't.
It's an ashtray right here.
Man, listen to me. Next time you reach, it's going to get ugly.
I got an alarm at
Because you're kind of appearing to me to be the twitchy type of person who's done something wrong, or you guys have been, listen to me. So all this reaching and grabbing or whatever, I guarantee you, before you think you can do something, I can enter a magazine into the car.
17 more.
The officer stated that he would empty a magazine into the car, implying that he would shoot the victim for placing his hands down, considering that he hadn't resorted to other less lethal forms of force, such as bodily force or even tasers and pepper sprays. The officer was threatening to violate his department's use of force policy. Most police departments have strict guidelines on the use of deadly force, which is generally considered a last resort when there is an immediate threat of death or serious bodily harm to the officer or others. The use of force continuum, a model used by many law enforcement agencies, outlines a progression of force options, starting with officer presence, verbal commands, empty hand control, less lethal methods, and finally, deadly force. By threatening to empty a magazine into the car without attempting less lethal options first, the officer was proposing to skip several steps in the use of force continuum. This would likely violate his department's policy, which almost certainly requires officers to use only the minimum amount of force necessary to control a situation and to escalate force gradually based on the subject's resistance. Furthermore, the officer's threat to use deadly force in response to the victim merely placing his hands down appears disproportionate and unreasonable. For the use of deadly force to be justified, there typically needs to be a clear, immediate threat of death or serious injury. A subject lowering their hands, while potentially concerning, does not by itself rise to that level of threat. It's stated according to the U.S. Department of Justice, law enforcement officers and correctional officers may use deadly force only when necessary, that is, when the officer has a reasonable belief that the subject of such force poses an imminent danger of death or serious physical injury to the officer or to another person. Considering that the officer did not have reasonable suspicion to believe that the driver was dangerous, he violated this rule by threatening to shoot him.
You understand that? Do you believe that? Stop reaching. Do not reach again.
Copy, I'm gonna get 90 en route with you as soon as he comes off this traffic stop.
That's fine, Central. I'll advise you.
Now, I want you to take a nice deep breath, take a deep breath, and breathe. Okay, you took a nice deep breath, take one more. I want to make sure you're nice and clear-headed. Now, take a moment and think, is there anything in this car that a police officer would want to know about.
John.
Sir? There's no bags. Thank card.
290.
Sir?
Just an ashtray, sir. I didn't know this car this morning. I don't know.
Bag, don't drop your hands off the steering wheel. Well, keeping your hands on the steering wheel is an easy request. Because they got some other stuff going on, you're going to get a whole bunch of warnings. Let me catch you out riding dirty, and the next time I take you, the car, and everything else. You understand that? Do you believe me when I tell you this? You need to straighten out your act, and you need to give up the weed, because I know when the last time you smoked. I don't appreciate being lied to. I don't appreciate people speeding on my beat. You have any questions regarding any of that? Or would you prefer the tickets and argue about it in court? Okay. You are free to go. I suggest you improve things a whole lot.
Thankfully, the officer eventually let the driver go with a warning and no ticket. After the incident, the victim unsurprisingly filed a complaint against the officer's department, which resulted in him being suspended. However, when the case was later reviewed by a citizens committee, they unanimously agreed that the officer should be fired and removed from his position as a police officer. Calls for his removal came when Commercial Dispatch obtained body cam footage of the incident through a public records request and posted it online. After the video became public, Officer Dowd was accused of racial profiling. As a result, he announced his resignation and left the force. Be sure to check out our previous video, where we cover another outrageous police encounter